Oh, my goodness. And there it is. Wow, get this in to go. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the National Bowling Stadium here in Reno, Nevada. My name is Emil Williams Jr. Pleased to be joined by Aaron Smith and momentarily Curtis Von Kruger as we get just a little bit of our light out of our shots. It is the PWBA Fall Classic. It is the last official event of the PWBA Tour season. Of course, you know by now, Classic Series events actually are 3 in 1, and this week is no different with the PWBA Reno Classic, the PWBA Pepsi Classic, and then our old favorite, Aaron Smith, the PWBA Tour Championship back in a slightly different format, but nonetheless $50K on top, and that will culminate with a live televised finals on CBS Sports Network on the ghoulish of Halloween Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon in this case. But Aaron Smith back at the National Bowling Stadium. A lot of excitement, some intrigue. We've got a lot to be determined regarding the Player of the Year race. So first and foremost, how are you? And welcome back to Reno, your favorite place in the United States of America.
It really is. It's amazing how much I do enjoy Reno, the National Bowling Stadium, and all the biggest little city has to offer. And the fact that we get to end the season here, we get to come back after the Queens here earlier in the season, the first major won by Julia Bond. To wrap things up, the Tour Championship is back, $50,000 for first place, the CBS Sports Network final. Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, all going to be determined. 3 more titleists. It's absolute craziness.
That's a good way to put it.
We've been a part of the relaunch for a couple years now, since 2015, and the Player of the Year the race for Player of the Year has always kind of had someone kind of run away with it the past couple of years. We look at the year Shannon O'Keefe had in 2019, Liz Johnson in 2017, just amazing seasons where they were just by far the best players on tour. They got the lead in points and they ran away with it. This year, we have absolutely zero decided. Absolutely zero with 3 events. You have to qualify to make the final event as well. So the Tour Championship, you have to bowl well enough in the Reno Classic and the Pepsi Classic to qualify it for there. So there's a chance that someone in that mix, and we've seen it happen this year, may not make the final event. And all of a sudden, those points are going to get even crazier as we get to that major. Of course, on CBS Sports Network for the final, we could be determining Player of the Year in the title match of the Tour Championship to finish the season. I got goosebumps thinking about it. It's awesome. It's what we're all about here. So over the course of the next week, a lot to determine, a lot of number crunching, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be crazy. I'm sure it's going to be more fun for us to talk about than potentially some of the players going through the roller coaster of the week, but they're ready. They got 3 different patterns to hit this week, and we expect to see some strikes along the way too. They just started their 2-hour-long practice session. We're going to be here for the whole time. If you're watching on bowltv.com, of course, you can select all the pairs in play. So every pair that's going to be in play is going to be available. They do have a few extra buffer pairs out for practice today, and they have all 3 patterns out as well. So we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more as we settle into the show. But what do you say we bring Curtis in?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring Curtis Von Kruger into the mix, and throughout the broadcast, we'll talk about what Aaron just mentioned, even go back and maybe play some additional vids to kind of recap certain moments. But right now, Curtis Von Kruger standing by. First of all, Curtis, my man, It is great to see you as always. Obi-Wan Kenobi, if you will. We'll get into that a little bit later throughout the week. But Curtis, how excited are you for the Fall Classic?
You know, I'm going to expound upon what Aaron Smith said. Not only can we have a really tight Player of the Year race, it could change game to game. Like, it is that close. And so that is what I'm really excited about. Like you guys said, Shannon had kind of run away with in 2019, so it wasn't really much of much intrigue here. But I also expect Stephanie Zavala to tie a ribbon on her rookie season and secure once and for all the Rookie of the Year title. Brianna Clemmer gave up a really good fight most of the season, but Stephanie Zavala with her second title of the season really kind of put it out of reach there. So another award that we're going to get passed out, a prestigious award. And you got to say, Stephanie Zavala really kind of going through a dream rookie season. You don't expect to come out to this level of competition and bowl as well as she has. Brianna Clemmer gave up a really good fight most of the season, but Stephanie Zavala with her second title of the season really kind of put it out of reach there. So another award that we're going to get passed out of the prestigious award. You got to say, Stephanie Zavala really kind of going through a trial of the season. You don't expect to come out to this level of competition and bowl as well as she does.
We'll need to talk about a lot on the line. Now going out to the lanes. Looks like we're starting at 57, 58, 59, and 60. We've got a Tour Championship pattern as well as the Reno Classic pattern. We'll tell you the lanes in which the patterns are on respectively. In fact, the Reno Classic 47, 48, 53 and 54, 59, 60, 65, 66, along with 71 and 72. Pepsi Classic, line 49 to 50, 55 to 56, 61 and 62, 67 to 68, 73 and 74. And then the Tour Championship 45, 46, 51, 52, 57 to 58, 63 and 64, and 69 and 70. Verity Crawley back in the mix, Daria Pio back in the mix. Aaron, let's get into let's first and foremost when you're ready. Let us discuss the some of the pattern information. We'll talk a bit about that. Curtis will also be will send in players, a few reps in and out of today's practice session as well. Again, 2 hours, 3 patterns, and the anticipation is we might see a few strikes out there today and this week for that matter.
And Neil, that is what I've heard as well. So it's going to be interesting. Once again, these patterns are going to be available on bowl.com, PWBA.com as well. If you're on bowltv.com, you as you already know, above the chat, you can see a few different panels to choose from. So be sure to visit that information tab up there with just the circle in the eye. That'll get you all the great information. Let's start with the Reno Classic. 30 is 7 feet in length, so this is going to be the short pattern of this particular Classic Series. 25.4 mils using the Kegel current oil. The ratio for this one on the left side, 3.53 to 1. So yes, folks, we do go beyond 2-to-1 ratios here on the PWBA Tour. But still consider a sport pattern. 4 to 1 is kind of the limit for sport. So 3.53 to 1 on the left side, 3.33 on the right side. So an asymmetric pattern. We'll get into some of the finer details from Nick Hoagland as well on that looking ahead. So that's going to be the Reno Classic. That's going to be the event that's coming up the next 2 days here on bowltv.com. Qualifying, match play, step ladder finals all taking place here. The Pepsi Classic is going to be taking place Wednesday and Thursday. So that's the 27th and the 28th of October. Event number 2 of the Fall Classic Series. And that is going to be our long pattern for the week. 43 feet in length, 23.9 mils on the volume, so a little bit less. This one's going to be using Kegel Terrain oil. So Kegel Terrain, when we look at the ratios, this pattern's going to be on the symmetric side, 3.67 to 1. So we should be able to get to the pocket a little bit here so far, Emil. And then, of course, the finale, the Tour Championship. We're going to fit the pattern length in the middle. We're going to go to 40 feet in length. 26.05 mils for that pattern. Another symmetric pattern, 3.89 to 1. So if you go strictly by the numbers, it's actually going to get slightly easier each week here at the National Bowling Stadium. So we'll see if the scoring pace kind of follows through. So here are some of the notes from Nick when you kind of look at the break of the week. You're going to have a short pattern, a long pattern, medium. So we talked about that with the length. 37 feet for the short, 43 for the long, 40 for the medium. Got a lower, higher, and medium volume. So that's all kind of sticking with that. As far as the oils, Kegel Current. One pattern with just Kegel Current, one with just Kegel Terrain oil, and then one with both Current and Terrain. Nick simply said the 37-foot pattern, we should expect it to play out. 43 feet kind of play in, and then 40 feet is kind of dealer's choice, if you will. Since we're in Reno, we'll keep it themed appropriately for all the excitement there. So we should expect to see some scores throughout the course of the week. We saw some scores when we had the Queens here. Back in May, once again, won by Julia Bond, had a few 300s during that event. And once again, as we mentioned, all this information is available on both PWBA.com to follow throughout the course of the week. Taking a look at our pairings here, see Brianna Zavala, who's had a pretty interesting season so far. Has been strong at the majors, the only player to make the telecast at both majors so far. 5th place finish at the Queens, the 5th place finish at the U.S. Women's Open, and hoping for one more opportunity at it during the Tour Championship to finish up the season. Julia Bond, as we mentioned, won the Queens. Back in May, first major championship, 2nd title of the season. Abby Ragsdale, a rookie out on tour this season. Christy Leong, we saw her at the Kickoff Classic Series, along with Lindsay Boomershine, who had a fantastic showing in Arlington, Texas at the ITRC. And Lindsay's had some success at this building as well. So over the course of her career at the Women's Championships, when it's been held here at the NBS, she has struck a bunch. Thrown a 300 here at the WC. A couple of titles at the NBS. See Verity Crawley, and then Stephanie Zavala, our front runner for Rookie of the Year. And as we look at this pair, 59 and 60, we are looking at the Reno Classic pattern. So this is going to be the short pattern, 37 feet in length. So as we can see, players attacking the outside portion of the lane. All right, everybody, back from the National Bowling Stadium. We're going to hopefully make some quick changes that actually clears things up a little bit there. Once again, this is the official practice session for the PWBA Reno Classic, the PWBA Pepsi Classic, and the PWBA Tour Championship, all part of the Fall Classic Series taking place
Everybody, back to the National Bowling Stadium.
in Reno, Nevada.
Made some quick changes that clears things up a little bit there. Again, this is the official practice session for PWBA Reno Classic, PWBA Pepsi Classic, Fall Classic Series taking place.
But when we look at this Player of the Year race, we talked about in the Open just how incredibly close it is, how many players are in the mix. Part of this has to do with obviously 17 events already in the books, a 20 event season overall. So a few more events, giving players the opportunity to bounce back from a rough tournament or two. And, you know, if you look at everybody who's kind of in the mix, there's not anyone who's been on point the whole year. Everybody's had some hiccups along the way, a bad week, which happens out here. It happens, you know, it happens to you and I and everybody who's watching this at league. You know, you just have bad tournaments. Something doesn't match up, whatever it may be. So, you know, everyone's kind of had at least some type of rough week in there. But it's just been so incredibly fun to kind of see the players jockeying for position, putting themselves in the mix here to make a run at it. When we look at the points overall, Dasha Kovalova is at the top of the standings, so she is the Player of the Year leader heading into the Reno Classic. But a very slim margin over Shannon O'Keefe, and we're you know, seeing some reports in the chat here that Shannon has not yet made it to Reno, which is obviously a scary proposition, and hopefully the travel woes she is facing right now will quickly subside so she can get back into the mix here. But Shannon sits in second place, approximately 2,000 points back of Dasha. Verity Crawley, who last time we had a Classic Series in the summer, made the show at all three of those, sits in third, 106,110 points. So all those three players within about 4,000 points of each other. Then a bit of separation down to fourth. Liz Johnson, the three-time Player of the Year, 100,710 for her. So she's about 10,000 points or so out of the top spot. Julia Bond in fifth with 2 wins this year, also above the 100,000 point mark so far. Danielle McEwen, a 2-time winner this season, 97,495, and then Missy Parkin, 97,012 with 3 runner-up finishes. Sits in 7th place. So all those players are within 13,000 points or less of Dasha Kovalova. After that, Brianna Cote is a little bit farther back, about another 4,000 points back. So Brianna would have to have a super strong performance this week and maybe get a little help along the way. And then after that, there's a bigger gap to 9th place and on to 10th. So those are the players we're really going to be keen in on to kind of watch that progress. That we think will, you know, there's going to be, of those 8 players, you know, I feel safe in guessing that 2 of them are going to make the show that we have coming up here in just a couple days. So that's going to throw a wrench into it just like that. Conversely, there might be a player who misses, you know, misses the top 12, or, you know, maybe just has a bad event, finishes, you know, 30th, 40th. That could happen too. So those are the things that we'll be tracking throughout the course of the week. But it's been such a crazy ride. The season has felt incredibly long just because it did start back in January. Then there was a break, a long stretch in the middle of the season, another break, then a pretty busy August before we get to the Fall Classic here at the end of October. But I'm very excited to see kind of how this first event pans out, and then see who really takes advantage of that momentum, Emil, and goes from there.
Yeah, it's obvious. You got that wait and see approach because that's all we can do at the moment. But you know, of the players that you just talked about, you know, especially on this first pattern, 37-footer, which certainly looks to be one that you know, playing out will provide ample opportunities to strike. Phil Missy's season has been very good overall, and obviously you mentioned she's been close, not only this season but in previous seasons, right? Knows the building, certainly can play him whichever way you need to play. Right, I think she's going to have a command on each of the each of the lane conditions to that aspect of it.
Well, folks, looks like we're having a little connection issue with that particular station, so we're going to switch on over here for a second. So we'll go double check on that. That is why we do this on practice day. Also, just to test everything out, make sure everything's good to go throughout the course of the week here on Bowl TV. And we have a good question in the Bowl TV chat from James, kind of about the points and how it works. You get points based off of your position in the field when it's all said and done for the week. So you can visit pwba.com and check out the rules to kind of see the full breakdown for that. The Tour Championship as a major has more points available to it as well. So it's based off of your position in the field where you place. If you place first, you get a certain amount of points. If you finish second, you get a little bit less. Third, a little less, and all the way down to the player who who are farther down the standings. They also get points as well, but just not quite the same amount. So it's all about strong finishes, making that top 12. And, that's one thing we'll talk about here as well. And looking at the formats for this week, the PWBA Reno Classic and the PWBA Pepsi Classic are going to have the same format. 2 6-game blocks for day one of those events. So 12 games total, with the top 12 players advancing to round robin match play. So that's the first opportunity for players to kind of make their move, put themselves in position to make a stepladder finals here. So the top 12 advance. Then they bowl 2 6-game match play rounds, round robin. So they bowl everybody once, and then a position round at the very end. And when it's all said and done, the top 4 players, based off a total pinfall and bonus pins from match play. So if you win your match in your head-to-head matchup, you get 30 bonus pins. If you tie, it's 15. And if you lose your match, you get 0. So those wins become very important as well. So that's how the first 2 events are going to work. Now, for the Tour Championship, however, we're going to take the 12 qualifying games from the Reno Classic and the 12 qualifying games from the Pepsi Classic. So those are the events that everybody bowled 12 games in. And from those 24 game totals, so we're going to combine those two, make 24 game total. The top 24 will earn spots in the Tour Championship. So based off of how you bowl in the Reno Classic and the Pepsi Classic, if you happen to not bowl well enough in qualifying to fall out of the top 24, you are essentially eliminated at that point. Your week of bowling is over. The Tour Championship, you have to qualify for it. So that's another thing that makes this Player of the Year race and the Rookie of the Year race too, just that much more interesting, knowing that there's a chance that folks are going to be trying to do everything they can to make sure they make those cuts. So for the 24 who do advance, they're going to bowl 3 8-game round robin match play rounds. So once again, the head-to-head matches, they'll bowl everybody in the field once. We'll have a position round at the very end. And then the top 5, based off a total pinfall and bonus pins, once again, will advance to the stepladder finals on CBS Sports Network. But another wrinkle in the situation is going to be that for the Tour Championship, you're going to have your 24 games of qualifying from the Reno Classic and the Pepsi Classic. Pinfall drops then. So once you make it, if you're first or if you're 24th in the standings, either way it works, everybody's starting fresh. You just got to make the top 24, and it's like a full refresh. Everybody starts at 0. You bowl your matches from there, and then from there, that's when the excitement starts. The head-to-head matches, the round robin, all of that. So that's the good news. If you're a player who barely qualifies for the Tour Championship, if you end up in 23rd, 24th place, you're not in a position where all of a sudden you're still down 300, 400 pins to make the show. You're starting fresh at the Tour Championship. A brand new pattern once again, and hopefully a lot of strikes on the way to a chance for a major title and $50,000.
$50K sounds great.
Yes, it does. Sounds fantastic.
I was making a point before I needed to go make a change down there. So at some point I'll get back to that, or we can do it now, but I don't want to mess your flow up. So
no, by all means.
I was talking about Missy, and I think if there's someone if we could just pick someone to make a charge, if you will, and considering that of all the players you had just talked about regarding the Player of the Year, with her abilities, I think command of the building or understanding of the building, I definitely think the short pattern will play to her favor. I actually think both patterns. She's proven she can play out, she can play in. It certainly makes spares when necessary. The situation where there's going to be some strikes out there to get. I always go back to the family element for me, and when you're able to have your family around and the good support system, that generally does good things. And Drew's here this week, DJ's here this week, other family members. I would look out for Missy. I really would. Keep an eye on her.
And she struck here a couple times too. Had a great run at the Queens. Finished second to Julia Bond, and Missy. We talk about. We kind of mentioned those 8 players, and if we look at the top 10, Missy is the outlier in that group because the other players in the top 10 have all won at least one title this season. Missy's got 3 runner-up finishes though, including the major performance at the Queens, and then both of Dasha Kovalova's wins this season were against Missy Parkin in the title match. So Missy has been putting herself in position, and she is certainly due for a win out here, 100%. She has been in contention so often. At some point, things are just going to. She's not going to have 260 shot at her again, like
Correct.
She's had a couple times in the past few seasons. She's going to get that hit that spurns 2 or 3 or 4 in a row, and all of a sudden, she's grabbing that title. So it's one of those things where it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fun. I'm sure it's going to be an emotional moment when it happens as well. Just knowing the time, the effort that Missy puts in, and how long it's been since she's been in the winner's circle on this stage. But she is a player who could definitely put together a couple stepladder performances here and really put a big twist into this Player of the Year race.
Yeah, I think it is. It's no doubt, as you mentioned to open up the show, it's one of the, if not the most kind of anticipated end of a season because of the unfinished business of the Player of the Year race, which, at this point, it's everything you want. In fact, the Tour Championship was kind of designed in its original format, of course, a little different than what we're used to, but designed in that sense to, have the end of the season awards be decided at what typically is kind of one of the obviously a major and a a spectacular event to end a PWBA season. And boy, we're going to get that certainly this week, and it's going to culminate obviously with a televised final with 2 Bowl TV stepladder finals preceding the Tour Championship. So happen live on CBS Sports Network on Sunday afternoon. You can't get better than that, man. But you just take a look at it. The Dasha, a couple wins, 6 championship round appearances, and that's always a stat that we've always looked at as one of those defining type of stats. The wins, of course, hit or miss, right? Mm-hmm. Someone could have, in Missy's case, 0 wins, but continues to put herself in position. But, Dasha's got 6. That's pretty solid. And it goes without saying what she has done this season. It'd be, for her, she's looking to kind of put that bow on the season, right?
Absolutely. Dasha tied for the lead in championship round appearances this season with Verity Crawley at 6. Bunch of players with 4. Shannon O'Keefe, Missy Parkin, Brianna Cote, Birgit Norreich, Stephanie Zavala, Kelly Kulik, all with 4 championship round appearances. And but Dasha, I feel there's a lot of interesting. I'm very intrigued to watch Dasha this week. I got the opportunity to talk to her for a preview story that you can find on bull.com right now. And, she's like her preparation for this hasn't changed. She hasn't, she's working on stuff. She made the big fit change and changed some of her pitches when the last time we had the break. She said, nothing too crazy like that. She was still working on some things to kind of improve her ball motion, kind of get the ball to go through the pins a little bit differently when she is seeing some flat 10s out there. She can make a little adjustment with her hand to hopefully create just a little bit better carry percentage. She's been spending time in the lab. She's been staying busy on the lanes. So that part of it's been great. So she's been taking care of that. So physically, she is ready to go. But she has told me on multiple occasions she has not matched up here at the National Bowling Stadium. She has felt, even though, if you look at the past 2 queens, she bowled very well in the qualifying portion of the 2018 event. Won a couple matches here in her title defense back in May. So it's one of those things where it's like, what we see versus how she feels about it is obviously a little bit different. We're looking more at the numbers versus, just how she feels about competing out there. So I'm intrigued to see, especially with the, potentially the softer pattern, she might be seeing her ball strike a little bit more. We'll see if that kind of helps the confidence of kind of attacking this particular venue. So, she said she's going to reset. She's going to try and, pretend it's the first time she's walking into the NBS and just kind of go from there, see what the patterns show her and the information she can gather from all this. So we will, we'll see how she does from that. But yes, I think this would be, we've talked a lot about confidence with Dasha as well. And just, we've seen her make the leap, if you will, in 2019 to kind of that next level. And obviously the next step up is continue to win and challenge for Player of the Year. And she's continued to win, and she's leading Player of the Year heading into this. So she's done, if you look at the progression, this is the right way to go. It wasn't a one-hit wonder by any stretch. She is here to stay. She is here to win a lot of titles, and she's going to continue to do that. But I think if she's able to pull through this week and raise that very heavy trophy when it's all said and done, because it is a very heavy Player of the Year trophy, as we've seen in previous years. I think moving forward, that's going to be a big step for her in just continuing the path she's been on the past 2 seasons.
I would be shocked if she did not bowl well on 37-foot pattern at least. She'll be able to keep her angles in front, something that she certainly likes to do. She's been working on, stand behind it a little bit, which I think would help that as well on that pattern. So I think, again, I would be, shocked if she didn't bowl well to start the series in the morning. Yeah, but this building can be. Well, I think we've heard it over the course of our time and talking to various players. It's lovely for some, not so great for others. So it just kind of depends. I'll tell you though, for me, if you can't be at Richmond Raceway, which we both have experienced, and that truly is a different type of experience. We always kind of throw in that one of a kind, and I would say this was definitely a one of a kind type, or the Richmond Raceway, I should say, definitely one of a kind type experience to host a major or any event. But if you can't be there, the National Bowling Stadium is is
It's up there.
it's pretty up there as well. And so from that angle, and the stadium as the backdrop, and all of this Player of the Year opportunities for these particular players, for this to happen in this building here this week, culminate with some TV at the end of it. Not sure you could really get it to where you could have it better to end what has been one of the most difficult, challenging, different, unique, certainly seasons we've had. As Aaron mentioned, this is a practice session. There are 3 lane conditions out. All 3 tournament patterns are out across the center: the Reno Classic, the Pepsi Classic, and the Tour Championship.
And the pair we are currently on, so when we made the switch, we went to 47 and 48. So this is actually going to be the first pair in play. You see people practicing on 45 and 46, but that pair is actually just open for the practice session today. Same as on the high end of the house. There's an extra pair available for players to make their way around. But 47 and 48 will be the first pair in play as we kick off competition tomorrow. So that's why we just got the 1 lane look for this particular channel. But as we Reno Classic pattern is what we're looking at as well here. So this is the 37-foot pattern. So and it looks like the players have definitely spent some time trying to make sure they have a first, that first event they get out of the gate strong. So we're seeing that right now with a lot of players seeming to migrate to the Reno Classic patterns first, just kind of from our vantage point. But obviously, you got to get a look at the Pepsi. You got to get a look at the Tour Championship. You're going to have your warm-up time prior to the start of competition, but any notes you can make, any moves you can make with your arsenal, and kind of planning ahead on that as well for the course of the week is also very important. But we've talked about. Hey, I think the cool part about the way the Player of the Year race is kind of developed over the course of this season. We look at the players in the mix. When you look at the storylines and what each player has experienced so far this season, there's something for everybody. There is, we talked about Dasha and the self confidence that she's fought throughout her career. The anxiety she has sometimes out on the lanes, and that's always kind of something that's something she's been working to get better. Oh, Sandra throwing pins around. Shannon,
she's been tossing them.
She's making the pins look a little lively here on 47, 48. When you look at Shannon O'Keefe, obviously, the big story of making a run at 3 consecutive Player of the Year awards. Liz Johnson did that in 15, 16, 17. Can Shannon repeat it here in 21 after winning in 18 and 19? And obviously there's a new added twist here. She's not getting into town until later tonight, or, if it's potentially tomorrow morning, prior to the start of the block. We start early tomorrow. It's a 8 a.m. local start time. I just saw Kelly Kulick walk in as well. So I'm not sure if she is just getting here right now, or if maybe she has already completed her practice session. But she just walked behind us here where we're located, behind lanes 45 and 46. Verdi Crawley, her journey this season very well documented throughout the course of this season, leading into it. Obviously, she missed the Kickoff Classic Series because she was in England due to visa issues. Could not come back to the United States and compete in that event. Liz Johnson, 4th place in points. I mean, it's Liz Johnson. 4th potential Player of the Year award. It's after not winning in 2019, kind of waiting to see when that 25th title was going to happen, and then the way she did it with that 300 game in the stepladder finals. And she's had a very Liz type season where she's been consistent. She's put herself in position to win a couple times. She's gotten that dub as well. And of course, obviously the history of a 4th Player of the Year. That's Winnie McPherson, and I think that's about it on that list. So another milestone for Liz. Obviously, the success she's had here as well is going to play into it, Emil. The PBA victory. You've got to head to Reno for that experience in 2017, and that was such a big moment as well. So confidence of being here, the success she's had, and a chance at another Play of the Year, definitely a driving force. Julia Bond, I think, when she won the Hall of Fame Classic at in Arlington in January, I don't think there was a soul surprised that Julia Bond went out and won on the PWBA tour. For the talent that she has exhibited throughout the course of her career as a youth player first, success at Junior Gold, Junior Team USA, Collegiate, U.S. Amateur Champion, all of those aspects, you knew she was going to not be afraid of that moment and have that time and win on the PWBA tour. And then she came out again at the Queens, added the major to it. She was the early front runner for Player of the Year for most of the season. But she's slowed down a little bit the past few events. So she's been one who's kind of fallen back a couple spots, but she can quickly erase that with a strong start here at the Reno Classic, get herself right back in the mix, get that confidence going once again. And she's going to be a player we're going to mention as part of a group who's competing this week, who is fresh off an international event. Just bowled the Pan Am Bowling Elite Championships in Cali, Colombia. And for the folks who followed that, first off, great job to Matt Cannizzaro for all the work he did throughout the course of the week covering that event on bowl.com and the Sport of Bowling USBC social media platforms. The conditions they bowled on were incredibly tough out there. So, and I'm sure a lot of folks have experienced this. You can relate it to your own way. If you go out and you bowl the Open Championships, for instance, for a lot of folks, that's, potentially the toughest pattern you see throughout the course of the year. And, sometimes, when you bowl on that tough pattern, that first time you get back on something a little bit softer, a little bit easier, all of a sudden that arm swing loosens up. When you start to see your ball, you can have a little bit more room to work with. And, you feel like you already have to be sharp because you just came off a daunting event like that. So, potentially the fact that, Julia and a few other players are fresh off that event on that challenging condition, they're going to have the opportunity to come in here, potentially, see some miss room, loosen that arm swing up, and start to strike a bunch. So we'll talk a little bit more about those players as well. Danielle McEwen in 6th place right now. 2 titles this year. The first time she's been able to win multiple titles in a season. But she's had her ups and downs as well. She's been fighting a foot injury throughout the course of the year that really hasn't seemed to have gone away. So it's been a little bit slower start of the season. She picked up in August. She bowled fantastic in the month of August. Had a great, real solid performance at the U.S. Women's Open as well. Just falling a few spots short of making the show there. So, for Danielle, all the confidence in the world. So she's, kind of on the opposite side compared to Julia, where Julia's trying to get back into the mix. Danielle's the one who has the momentum on her side heading into this. So, kind of erasing the slower start, bringing it back. And then we talked about Missy as well and just everything with that. And I didn't mean to talk for that long. I'm sorry. I just kept going.
Hey, you were doing such a wonderful job. There's really no need. I'm like, well, Aaron's got it covered. I mean, but you really went through that in a very thorough manner. But either one of those players could, mess around and, as Ice Cube would say, get a triple double this week. What I'm saying? There's someone could win 3. Someone could definitely win 2. And that could be a win, a second, and a 14th. Like there's so many possibilities. But you mentioned the head start tomorrow. I believe is very super important for not only everyone in the field, certainly to advance, get off to a good start to advance to the Tour Championship, but certainly the players with Player of the Year in that race, the opportunities that present themselves for that particular group. Tomorrow is of utter importance, I think. From the confidence perspective, we know that there are certainly all those players would like to win that award. I don't think there's any question about that. You broke down, kind of the history for certain players like Shannon O'Keefe and Liz Johnson, for example. For Danielle McEwen, she's been second a few times in this thing. Now we've got new players. Julia Bond, obviously. Verity was amazing in, was that June? No, I'm sorry. June, winning her first title, of course, in Smyrna. Then obviously the Summer Classic Series as well. Been watching 47 and 48. Again, that's the Reno Classic pattern. The 37-footer. Appreciate those checking in regarding watching on bowltv.com as well as Facebook Live on the Sport of Bowling Facebook page. All channels that we will be using this week are also live at this point in time. So like normal, always, you can feel free to float, check out other players, obviously, as you would normally do during an event. The one thing that you may not be able to tell is what pattern a particular pair might have on that on a particular channel. So if you have some questions about that, we're happy to tell you. For verbal notices, once again, the Reno Classic pattern is on 47 and 48, 53 and 54, 59 and 60, 65 and 66, along with 71 and 72. The Pepsi Classic is on 49 and 50, 55 and 56, 61 and 62, 67 and 68, and 73 and 74. And the Tour Championship, 45, 46, 51, 52, 57, 58, 63, 64, 69, and 70.
So essentially, another way to kind of look at it is it's always the next pair is something else. So it's never consecutive pairs necessarily. So So if you see the masking units up there, obviously the ones we're looking at right now all say Tour Championship, but those are not all Tour Championships. So 45 and 46, as Emil said, Tour Championship, then Reno, and then Pepsi, and then back to Tour, Reno, Pepsi, all the way through the house.
That's good people out watching and everywhere internationally, from Taiwan to, of course, the United States and Wisconsin. Deb, Scotty.
But in talking about the pairs, Emil, we do have every pair in play available this week. So if you have a particular athlete you're really excited to watch this week, you literally can watch every single bowling ball that they throw throughout the course of the week. You know, granted, you know, outside of any technical difficulties that may pop up on our side, but that's not the plan. So hopefully smooth and easy all the way through, and you get to watch the best athletes on the PWBA Tour all week long. Bowling for titles, 3 titles on the line, a major championship. Of course, postseason accolades as well. The actually right now over on 49 and 50, our top 2 players for the Rookie of the Year race. We've kind of honed in on the Player of the Year race just due to the fact of how close it is for so many players in the mix. The Rookie of the Year race is a little bit bigger distance from first to second. So Stephanie Zavala, kind of the breakout star of 2021 on the rookie class. 2 titles in her first 5 events. She won the Greater Cleveland Open and followed it up 2 events later at the BVL Open. And in between that, she bowled the Queens here and qualified either second or third overall. The bracket portion of the event didn't go the way she would have liked. I believe she went 0-2 in the bracket and was eliminated, but bowled very well throughout the qualifying portion of that event. So Stephanie's built about a 15,000 point lead. So we mentioned the distance from first to seventh was, 13,400 or so. So from first to second, 15,000 plus to Brianna Clemmer. So for Clemmer, she's going to have to put up a week
And get a little help.
and potentially get a little help too. But certainly, based off of the things we talked about, it's a situation where if Stephanie struggles, doesn't make the Tour Championship, and Brianna does make the Tour Championship and makes a nice run at that event, things could certainly be getting a little exciting in that particular section of that postseason award as well. But Zavala, we saw her really. JT, Jason Thomas, who many of you good folks on Bolt TV know, is here this week as well, helping us out. JT and I were talking about it the other day, and just Stephanie Zavala and her performance at the U.S. Women's Open. And we talked about the wins, but obviously, you look at what she did at the Greater Cleveland Open in that title match, bouncing back from the early Open against Brianna Cote, and kind of showing that resilience not to let that bring her down. At the BVL Open, she had something else that nobody else had, but she still had to make some big shots down the stretch. And of course, that 3-6-9-10 conversion against Jordan Richard in the finals.
Yep.
But when we went back and we were just still so impressed. She finished 4th at the U.S. Women's Open. She made the show. But she entered that final game, that final position round of the USWO, 1 pin, I believe, behind Shannon O'Keefe. So basically, it was a win in advance matchup. And some of the shots she threw in that matchup were just the ones where you're like, okay, wow. Like, it was a 100% no fear moment. And with everything that she does out on the lanes, to have that it factor, that moxie in that situation, to just step up, take care of business in a primetime matchup like that was very impressive, and something that was just another wow moment in what's been a phenomenal season for her. But
you could also, I think you could summarize her season to date, no matter what happens this week, as a no fear, as using that phrase, because she's come in and shown no fear from the start. Add that to an incredible ball roll, and I think a very good understanding of what her equipment does for her, and how to make that work, manipulate rolls, etc. And we've seen the success, obviously, that has presented itself. I mean, Cleveland, I was there for that. Had a front row seat to that performance, and like you said, though, a lot of that, most of that didn't come down to striking. Obviously, the U.S. Women's Open did, but when you need to make tough spares to win titles, especially as a rookie, that not only does it not go unnoticed, to me, it's like, well, I'm gonna trust you to strike because you definitely can make a spare when you need to in the clutch. And obviously, not many, even seasoned veterans, may struggle in that situation. So she's great to watch, fun to talk to. I think it's brought a kind of a different type of energy. I think to the tour certainly, and obviously an opportunity for fans to see a new player make her presence known on the PWBA tour, and she continues to do so in that regard.
But you know what I'm going to do here, Emil?
What are you going to do?
Just because I like to shake things up a little bit. You know me, I'm a guy who likes to shake things up.
A mover and a shake.
We mentioned Julia Bond a little bit earlier and her performance, or just coming off of her performance at the Pan Am Bowling Elite Championships. Julia won 2 gold medals, I believe, trios and the team event. But there was one player who really stood out at that event. As tough as that event was, there was, on the women's side, there was a clear best player that whole week in Cali, Colombia. And that was Brianna Clemmer, who was second in the Rookie of the Year race. She won 3 gold medals, along with a bronze in trios. But really, for her first, I want to say, her first appearance on the adult team in international competition, she was really the standout player. So once again, getting back to those conditions, that 38-foot Los Angeles pattern definitely played tricky throughout the course of the week, and the scoring pace reflected that, and just the uphill battle throughout the course of the week for everybody out there to really try to find something, get something going. To see her kind of dominate that event, I feel bodes well for her putting that pressure on Stephanie in each of the tournaments.
Well, you talked about it a little bit with the obviously the difficult conditions you mentioned earlier, and how that may help players like Bree who were just there, and that very well could be, something to keep an eye on, because we can't take too much away from a practice session. We all know that at this point, but she's looked very sharp from what I can tell to this point. And she's over on what's that, 49 and 50. In fact, Aaron, what do you say we take a look? 49 and 50, and then when we get there,
do that. That's we'll take a look at the Pepsi Classic pattern.
So we'll switch it up. We'll switch patterns. We'll switch players that we see. John had mentioned Sandra Gangora throws it so nice. She does. I still believe one of the best physical games on tour. She's someone who just competed and represented Mexico at that very same event. Correct. Who also could benefit certainly from bowling on something tough. And then, again, from what the patterns are telling us, they won't be as difficult on the surface as what the players competed on in Colombia. So far, the 37-footer is my favorite.
All right, we should have that up for you folks in just a second. So So bear with us for a quick minute, but while you do, you can take a look at the Reno Classics. Oh, that's not the Reno Classic schedule. That's the Reno Classic schedule. That's a good looking schedule right there. So I'll have that up in just a moment, folks. But those will be the times. So bright and early tomorrow, we'll be kicking things off. So that'll be 8 a.m. local time here in Reno. So Neil, be sure to set your alarm.
You know what's funny? It's just as we moved to 49 and 50.
Everybody left.
Brianna Clemmer moved too.
Curtis is there. So Curtis is there. So you can see the Pepsi Classic on 49 and 50. There is Stephanie Zavala. And then the Tour Championship pattern over on 51 and 52. See Jen Hokersack, Brianna Clemmer moved over there as well, it looks like. For those who have never been to the National Bowling Stadium, it is a 78-lane facility all the way across. But we've kind of taken up only half of the center. So I know for a lot of folks, that's going to be a thing that's going to make it a little bit easier to manage as well. Historically, when you've had big events here that, have taken up the whole venue, if you will. If you look at, the Masters a little bit earlier this season here at the NBS, managing those jumps from one side to the other is such a big part of it. And kind of having that information and knowing what to expect right away when you're jumping from, lanes 71 and 72 all the way over to 7 and 8. Players are in a more condensed area here, so it's going to be a little bit easier for them to kind of manage those jumps and kind of understand the tendencies of this portion of the house as they get through these events.
Yeah, that's something to kind of keep in mind. It's easier for a player to kind of take notes, think about what they experience on certain pairs, knowing that they're going to go or bowl on those pairs throughout, for the most part. Once we get to TV, both national and bowl TV regarding step ladder finals, those will be essentially on the other side from the low end or lower end of the building.
There's a Maxine Naval side. Let's go. Joining us all the way from Australia. Maxine, of course, bowled on tour back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But I believe this is the first time we've seen her back on the PWBA since the relaunch in 2015.
Indeed.
So a little bit similar to Jody Scherer this season, who was the 1998 Rookie of the Year, coming back and bowling a couple events early, Kickoff Classic Series, bowled great at the first regional event of the year. Had the first 300 of the season as well back at the Twin Cities Open.
This is a standout player during that era. Won the World Cup in 1998. Kobe, Japan. Multi-medalist in the Commonwealth Games in 98 as well. Gold in doubles, silver in singles. First tour roommate for our great friend and major champion herself, Tania Milligan. It's a lot of history. I've seen a lot of players come up and talk to Maxine so far. or I should say a little bit prior to practice. Clara, Shaolin, Liz Johnson. The amount of players that Maxine has competed against internationally over the course of her career as well. It's pretty cool when you think about all of that combined. Following that footsteps of soon to be inducted PWBA Hall of Fame Gail Giannotti. I think Maxine and Kara Honeychurch came out on tour about the same time.
Some big time name drops right there, Neil. Kara Honeychurch. The dominant lefties for that for her short stint on tour, but she took care of business during that time. 8-time titleist along the way. Quite a few memorable moments. I believe there was a 300 on TV for her as well along the way.
Correct. We'll have to check out Maxine at some point here. I know she was on the higher end of the building to start practice. I went down to make a change to some cameras, and she was on one of the end pairs. But it only, and she wasn't even throwing at a full rack of pins for me to say, yep, I think she's going to strike a lot this week. How about that?
I guess this is an open practice session, so no assigned pairs, no moving after X amount of time. So it's been kind of a random free-for-all to where folks are going. What do you say we make another switch here, Emil, since we're nearly to the 90 minutes. This has moved along quite nicely.
Well, we got about 40 minutes left.
Where do we want to go?
Let's get to the high end.
The high end? You just want to go all out there? Just go as far as we can go?
Yeah.
And hope people are there?
Let's see. Let's take a look at the trusty channel list here.
Well, I mean, I'm going to look at it first before. We got. Looks like we got Liz Johnson over there. There we go. We got some players over here. 65 to 68.
There we go.
So we got some folks doing their thing. Shalinzel Keithley, Kelly Kulick, Brianna Cote. There's Amanda Fry. Good to see Amanda back out here. Had a great run here at the NBS at the Queens, and 2018 making the show, and Curtis has lined up a guest for us here, so we're going to be able to bring her in momentarily. Stephanie Zavala is going to swing by, so as Curtis gets her all set to go, we'll bring her into the broadcast. There's Felicia Wong, who won singles for Canada at the Pan Am Bowling Elite Championships. It's Kayla Bandy. Just got to see Kayla last week at the Mid-States Championships, helping out over there. So it looks like Stephanie is set. Stephanie, can you hear us?
I sure can.
And we can hear you. How about that? Technology, it's working. Well, Stephanie, it's great to see you once again. We're going to bring us all on screen here. So let's do that here. So there's Stephanie. Stephanie, first and foremost, great to see you once again. Last time we saw you was on CBS Sports Network at the U.S. Women's Open. So tell us first a little bit about just what you've been up to and how you've been preparing for the Fall Classic Series.
Yeah, so I mean, not gonna lie, I did take a few days off after that U.S. Open. My body was beaten up, my brain was all but mush. But after hitting that reset button for a few days, I needed to get back out on the lanes and keep that momentum going and keep working hard. And I did notice a few little quirks were off, so I've been working hard the past few weeks just to make sure I'm ready to do it again this time.
What's the good way or a couple of good ways that you enjoy kind of relaxing when you want to get away from bowling?
I mean, I spoil myself a little bit, not gonna lie. I got a mani-pedi and I kind of just sat there for a good hour, just like, yes, please, all of it. I hung out with my family. It was a long summer. I didn't get to see them a lot. I miss my brothers when I'm away, and even though we get on each other's nerves, it was good to like see them and hang out with my parents and just kind of unwind and decompress.
Nice.
Now, obviously, you've been over here by our pair, so we've been watching you a little bit. You've gotten to see a few of the different patterns, but tell us just some initial impressions that you've seen out there across all three patterns for the Fall Classic.
Yes, I mean, right off the bat, I have a feeling that the Reno Classic is going to be a little trickier just because it is a shorter and, we're going to be forced to play in such a defined area. Urethane did look really good for me, so that's definitely my A game. A little later on, I was able to move a little left and start shaping it, which was good to see just because I know I'm not going to be stuck to, playing up the gutter if my carry goes away with the urethane. For the Pepsi, I was actually able to start way more left and just, 25-15, start with the big balls like the Rubicon, the Master, like the Reality, and I'm really liking that. And I really think we're just going to be able to like chase everything left for that one, which is, I'm always really happy to see that.
Obviously, no guarantees at any event that you go to, but you like similar Classic Series, the Tour Championship, you have to qualify to get there via the Reno and the Pepsi Classic. How do you approach the week? And obviously, assuming that you're not going to do too much that's different that you already do, and how you approach any event. But what's the week looking like for you from your processes and everything you want to do to be ready this week?
Yeah, I mean, as cliche as it sounds, you just have to take everything one step at a time. You can't think about making that third one before you even bowl on the first one. But, I did jump on that third pattern on the fresh just because, in my mind, I'm going to make it and I need to prepare as if I'm going to make it. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I see all the patterns on fresh and then go back to them again and do the transition and then start all over and go through that burn. And that's just kind of how I'm preparing it. Like, I will take one pattern, one shot at a time, but I wanted to make sure that I was mentally prepared to do everything on all three patterns.
Stephanie, looking back at this season, obviously this is our second time here. We don't get many opportunities to visit a bowling center twice. You both great in qualifying at the Queens back in May. I know match play didn't go the way you would have liked, but being back at a center once again, what are your biggest takeaways from being back here at the NBS, and how is that going to be an advantage for you?
Yeah, it's definitely good with the mental game just because, like you said, I did have that good qualifying block and, I feel really comfortable in this environment. It's not like I'm going back to a center where, I didn't make the cut, which has happened this season. And just mentally, that's a little more assuring. And just overall, I mean, we love bowling here. It's a great stadium and the lanes are super clean. And whenever you can see the like super clean back end and your ball actually does what it's supposed to do, it's just so much better on the mind.
One quick question for you, or last one, I should say. Aaron and I were talking about your season earlier in the broadcast, and we talked about obviously you having to be clutch in some pressing situations to win titles, to make the U.S. Women's Open show, for example. And I'm like, I think a good way to describe your season has been no fear. Like, you've come out as a rookie with no fear. How would you describe your season and your approach to this point?
To me, it still seems like a fantasy. Like, I want to say, like, I did work hard, I did my due diligence. So I don't want to say that I'm not deserving of the season that I'm having, but sometimes I have to like still pinch myself. Like, did I really just do that? Am I still doing this? And, I know what my goal was coming into the season, and I'm a good week of bowling away from claiming that. And so as exciting as that is to just like look forward and want to do that and hold that trophy up, I just have to kind of like breathe and relax and make sure I don't let it get too far away from me. And, I'm super excited. Like, this season is everything that I could have hoped for and worked for and dreamed for.
Well, Stephanie, with that, we will let you get back to practice or take the rest of the day off. We're not sure if you had some more bowling in plan, but we want to thank you so much for joining us here. As always, look forward to watching you compete once again, and just a phenomenal 2021 season. We look forward to watching you cap it off here in the next couple days.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. Stephanie Zavala. I was going to have a final question for her, but we did keep her long there. But I wanted to get the what's it like with Curtis standing 15 feet on the ball caps and having him and watching because he's been getting some good stuff. I assume it's good stuff. Everything that Curtis gets is always good. So
Yeah.
so looking forward to seeing that all come together. But big thank you to Stephanie for joining us here. We're going to have another player we talked a little bit about today join us here on the broadcast in just a moment. So Brianna Clemmer is going to be joining us here in just a second as well. Once Curtis will give us the okay here, and we'll have a few questions for her as well.
While we wait, just a quick hello to all watching on our Facebook Live feeds for both of the PWBA Facebook page, the Sport of Bowling Facebook page, as well as the Bowl TV YouTube channel. A lot of international viewers so far today as well. Thailand, Iceland, for example. Those watching nearby, Syracuse recently, Tacoma, hello. And without further ado, Aaron.
We're in. Brianna Clemmer, can you hear us?
Yes.
Fantastic. Let's bring her into the broadcast then, Emil. There she is. Brianna, hello. Great to see you.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm tired.
I was going to say,
Very tired.
be honest. I know it was a long travel day.
Yeah, we had 4 flights yesterday, so we left the hotel around like 2:45, 2:50.
AM?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we didn't get into Reno until like 9 o'clock last night. Yeah, so I'm tired.
Well, you earned the right certainly to be tired. So congratulations on obviously the success yours as an individual, certainly as well as the team. In your first event as a member of the adult team representing the United States, I don't think you could have summed it up or dreamed it any better than you did. Describe the week if you can.
Well, singles started and we struggled a little bit. I bowled with Lauren Pate, and we're really close with each other. We know each other very well when it comes to our games, so we just worked off each other and made our spares for singles. And then doubles came around, and it felt like it was a completely different environment and a completely different center on a different pattern. So we bowled very well. We ran them over, as Lauren would say. And then trios came around, and just everything the rest of the week, it kind of just fell into place. And the teammates and I, we just trusted each other and we followed each other's lead. And when someone wasn't comfortable, we made sure they were as comfortable as possible. I just tried to breathe in every single moment and learn from each other.
Well, it was fun to watch. And one of the big things that, in looking at the scoring pace and that 38-foot condition looked not fun at all, just based off of the scoring pace, what we saw out there, and some of the comments that were in the stories and just attacking that pattern. So how sharp do you feel after having that challenge for the past week, every day having to perform on that tough condition? How sharp do you feel heading into this now?
I feel pretty good, actually. Knowing that we get to bowl on something that's kind of similar for tomorrow, I'm actually pretty confident with that because that's something that I was doing for a week. I bowled pretty well on it. So I'm really excited for that. And I feel really good. I think this is the best, honestly, I've felt all season coming into an event. And I'm very confident. And that's something that we've been working on a lot when it comes to my game because I have been throwing it harder. So that's kind of hurt my confidence a little bit. But getting out in Cali, Columbia and being able to see, how successful I was, that's boosted my confidence coming into this tournament.
For the season as a whole, we just talked to Stephanie Zavala. obviously a fellow rookie. You right behind her from a points perspective for that award. But there's so much that can go on obviously during one season, let alone that first season as a rookie. How do you feel you kind of managed the season and obviously its ups and downs to this point?
Yeah, I feel like I struggled at first. It was really hard for me to be away from home, considering my dad was very sick in November, and I came home and I was with him as much as possible, and then having to leave home for months and be away from him. I struggled with that. That was a really hard thing for me. But then going out and being able to compete with people that I look up to and people that I call my best friends, I was able to just love on them as much as possible, and they kind of loved on me as much as possible. So that helped me manage, the stress of bowling every week and traveling every week and being away from family. So I think that helped a lot. And being with Caitlin Johnson, I grew up with her and she knows how I am. So it was very easy for me to be away from home, being with someone who is, I consider my home. And then just the bowling aspect, I feel like I bowled pretty well. I'm happy with the season. And I'm happy with how everything's played out. Everything happens for a reason, and God always has his mysterious ways of working things out, and he has a bigger plan for everybody. And I just have to keep reminding myself that he has a bigger plan and that this is what I'm meant to be doing.
It's really been fun to watch you compete throughout the course of the year, and kind of a lot of learning moments along the way, I'm sure. But it's something we've seen. We've been very lucky to see the success that you've had as a youth competitor at the Junior Gold Championships, of course, with Junior Team USA, the collegiate success at McKendree, and now seeing that here on the PWBA Tour as well. I just, kind of looking at the season as a whole, how fast did it go or how slow did it go for you? I'm just kind of curious because this season for me has been a very long one, but I'm not out here. How fast has the season gone for you though? Just kind of taking it all in as it comes along.
Yeah, like I said, at first it was pretty hard. I feel like it was going by very slow just because I was so homesick and I did miss my family. But then it went by in the blink of an eye. I felt like I blinked and it was the US Open. And then we had a month or so off, and then I blink and then it's the last 3 tournaments of the year. So I feel like it went by faster than I expected it to. Yeah, I'm kind of sad that it's already almost over, but I'm happy I get to spend some downtime off with my family.
Finally, your thoughts on what we've seen from a patterns perspective for this week. What'd you see in each one? And I assume you've thrown a few shots. We've watched you certainly at least on 2. But what have you seen so far in the patterns, and what do you expect?
Well, for the Reno Classic, like I said, it's kind of similar to what I just bowled on last week. It's 37 feet. Last week we bowled on 38 feet. So pretty similar. I feel like there's a little bit more room to the right for me. So I can throw harder and I can get around it a little more. I'm very, very excited about that.
Yeah.
The second pattern, yeah, I'm very excited about that. Like very excited. And then the Pepsi Classic, I'm just really comfortable on that. I feel like I was able to move my feet left and get around it and throw it a little slower because I have been actually. And the same with the Tour Championship. I feel like for me they played pretty similar. So, and I was able to throw the same 6 bowling balls, and then I tried some different pieces here and there just to see what they would do. But I feel pretty confident. Like I said earlier, I feel like more prepared for this tournament than I have before, and I'm really confident for this week.
All right, Brianna, just one final question, then we'll let you get back to practice if you want to, or if you're potentially done for the day. But how awkward was it taking shots down there with Curtis standing at the arrows and laying on the approach? It looked like, and all the different angles.
I think
I'm pretty
used to Curtis's craziness by now. I just didn't want to smack him or hit him with anything, so I was kind of nervous about that. But yeah, I'm pretty used to it by now.
He is a seasoned professional with that as
yes.
well. So, Brianna, thank you so much for joining us here on Bowl TV. We always appreciate the chance to talk to you. Best of luck throughout the course of the week, and we look forward to watching you cap off your rookie season here in Reno.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Brianna Clemmer joining us here as well. So some great conversations with some great athletes on tour, and as that happened to me, as I look across this house, everybody's gone away from us, or they've left, or it is from lane 45 to I think that's 55. There's a total of 3 players. So everybody's gone away, either down to the high end. So there's kind of a section, maybe 57, 58 range. Looks like there's a couple folks. Still got some people bowling over here on 65 through 68. But we can't expect this. They've been bowling for an hour 40 already, so folks are gonna. They found out what they've needed to on these patterns so far, and potentially saving up some of the energy moving forward for the upcoming days of qualifying. Once again, 12 games tomorrow, so it's definitely not a short day of bowling. So
Yeah, I don't think I think we mentioned the format a little bit earlier in the broadcast, and we'll recap that again. But yeah, 12 games is obviously significant, not something that the players aren't used to. It's more along the lines of a standard event from a schedule perspective. But when you add in everything else that the week is going to present, and they're bowling back to back to back, there's no break essentially after the day, right? It's bowling,
lots of bowling.
every single day, and obviously it's who qualifies is what's going to be the difference, who gets breaks and who doesn't. One man who generally does not get a break,
Oh no,
because he's one of our favorites and he does one hell of a job. I cursed on Bowl TV. That's right. It's Reno. We're doing it. Please welcome in Chuck Gardner to Bowl TV. Chuck, man, how you doing?
I'm great, guys. Hope you are.
We're doing well, Chuck. We'll just start right off the bat. 3 patterns, obviously. Kind of not your first rodeo in regards to what the Classic Series in this case bring, right? 3 events, 3 different patterns, and a lot to kind of take in and get the players ready for. So how do you handle that this week with the varying lengths of conditions for this week in Reno?
Well, I honestly think it will be a little easier here than it is, say, in Dallas or in another venue, because this bowling center has very strong tendencies, and usually balls that you can get rolling sooner, that will get through the front, but will get going forward sooner and a little slower off the spot, tend to be better in this building. You can hook it here, but the players that hook it want to be steeper so that it's going forward quicker. If you even look back at the Queens this year, most of the girls went a little straighter. They got it rolling. It went forward in the pattern a lot. And I think that's kind of characteristics of the building. That's why urethane on the men's tour always looks so great here. Just the tendencies of the building. So I think it's a little easier, even though, Nick gave us a little challenge going from 37 to 43. But I still think similar balls are going to be in play. I think you're going to find covers that will read the body of the lane and not be too sharp down lane. I don't think you want them sharp down lane.
Now, Chuck, with that, as far as kind of what the players have been reporting back to you today from what they've seen from the various patterns, specifically to the Reno Classic starting up tomorrow, the 37-foot condition, what do you expect ball choice-wise from a lot of these players? What was kind of some of the popular choices out there that we shouldn't be surprised to see going down lane tomorrow?
Well, I think from the players that are good with urethane, I think you're going to see some urethane going down the lane. I look for Shannon Pulowski to throw urethane, Birgit Poplar to throw urethane, Sandra Gongora to throw urethane, and obviously still some of the Storm girls. You're going to see some urethane go down the lane, but besides the urethane, I think you're going to see more slow, symmetrical balls that aren't going to jump off the pattern. Because if you use anything that's a little quicker, it forces you so far left that now all of a sudden you're feeling all the hook of the lane. And I just think that that's not the direction you want to go. You want to be able to keep your angles kind of going up the lane as much as you can. Pin carry increases immensely here if you can do that. And And I just think that's going to be the biggest goal for the girls.
Chuck, you've got 3 players in the top 7 in points, and all obviously have an opportunity to win Player of the Year, including Dasha, who is leading the way at this point. Couple wins we talked about. How do you kind of try to keep their minds perhaps off of that for this week? Because we know, obviously Shannon wants to win it again. We know certainly Dasha would like to cap off her great season with the icing on the cake, if you will. And Missy still has a great opportunity to sneak up on some folks with a great week here. So how do you kind of help them manage those emotions, if you will, and kind of focus on what's in front, and that's knocking down the pins?
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, to focus on what you can control. Focus on your shot making and your decisions and the things that you're going to go through during the week. At the end of the day, the top 7 or 8 girls are all great players. They're all amazing players, and it's going to come down to the major. I fully believe that it's going to come down to that event. And what would be really neat is if we had the girls that are first and second and third in the points all in that show and let them bowl for it. It would be really fun. It would be a neat experience for the fans to get to see that. But I think it's just control what you can control. Control what you have decision-making ability over. You can't worry that someone's getting more breaks than you. You can't worry that you're going to a pair that's not scoring well. If you go to the last game of match play and you're trying to make one of the earlier shows and you get to one of the marginal pairs, you just have to control what you can control and just focus on your shot making and remember that it's not a sprint. Each event carries its own points, but at the end of the day, they're all going to be in the hunt. I would look for all of those girls that are in this title hunt to have great weeks. Most of them bowl good in this building. And I just think that it's going to be fun for the fans that want to follow along. And I'm sure you guys will have the points down to to every minute, and we'll know exactly where you are. And
get the spreadsheet.
I'll be coming to talk to you guys.
Okay. We got you.
Well, first and foremost, I think the way you described with the top 3 or 4 making the show when it's all said and done, I think you painted a perfect picture for what we're hoping to see as well, because that would be just phenomenal on CBS Sports Network to really end an amazing season out here on the PWBA tour. But I got to get back to the patterns this week, and I just want the initial impression when you got to see not 1, not 2, but 3 patterns that all had a 3 on it for the ratio instead of a 2 or a 1 like we tend to see from time to time out here. So obviously the numbers don't always tell the story of the pattern, but what was it like seeing things maybe a little bit on the not so crazy tough side?
I like it. I think it's neat that the girls are going to be able to just go out and bowl. And I think there's going to be less that the pattern's going to dictate what you have to do all the time. Some of these girls have really great vision. They remind me of golfers. And, when the golfer's playing around the green, they have great vision and they can be creative with how they create their ball shapes. And I think when we get into a pattern that's, 1-to-1 or 1.5-to-1 or even 2-to-1 on a lot of them, they kind of take some of the creativity away. And Nick, I promise you, if you're listening, I'm not trying to bash you in any way, but I love what you do. But I think it's great. The final event of the year, I think we're going to see some scores. I think they're really gettable. I truly believe they're all 3 patterns are gettable. And I think we're going to see some scores, and we're going to be able to see the girls' creativity with their shot making. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and people are going to want to tune into Bowl TV the whole time and see it all, because by game 5 and 6 of each block, you're liable to see some very different angles through the front of the lane based on the player. You could see Ashley Galante sliding into 33 or 34 on the short. She may be deeper than anybody, but you could see that. And then you could see some girls that stayed with the slower balls and rolling it more, still not sliding left of 21 or 22. So you're going to see a lot of creativity, I think, by the players, and I think making the patterns a little bit more gettable. it kind of creates that and makes it a little more fun.
All right, Chuck. Well, A, we're looking forward to that too as well. B, we'll let you get back to it. But as always, we appreciate you swinging by and saying hello and dropping some excellent knowledge for us here on Bowl TV. So we hope you always have a free pass to come on in. So please feel free to cash that in at any time. So we're in Reno. You can cash things in. So not only tickets, but spots here on Bowl TV. So Chuck, thank you as always for joining us. We look forward to chatting with you throughout the course of the week, and best of luck along the way.
Always my pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck. All right, folks. Chuck Gardner joining us. I always love talking to Chuck. He's great.
He's one of best folks, I would say, out here, in my opinion.
I would second your opinion. But folks, based off of a lot of the great things that Chuck said about the excitement, the strikes we're probably going to see, the players being able to show their creativity along the way and finding ways to keep that striking pace going. A friendly reminder for all the folks who are watching on bowltv.com, you already know the deal. You're already there. You bought in, and we appreciate that. And we hope you have fun throughout the course of the whole week here as we have the Reno Classic, the Pepsi Classic, and the PWBA Tour Championship. Of course, the big finale being on CBS Sports Network. Everything else prior to that, including the stepladder finals of the Reno Classic and the Pepsi Classic, right here on bowltv.com. We are streaming live on YouTube. We are on Facebook as well on a couple different platforms. So as a heads up, obviously all accessible today, but to watch the event moving forward, you will have to subscribe to Bowl TV. So there are a few different options to check out to pick up your subscription to watch the final PWBA Tour events, technically, of the 2021 season. So we have some standard options available on the recurring side, $79.95 for an annual subscription, $9.95 for a monthly recurring subscription. And those give you full access to bowltv.com. So, we talked about this great season we've had so far. You can go back and watch all of the great matches, the great qualifying sessions, stepladder finals, all of it, along with everything else, the U.S. Open, the Masters, Collegiate, the Senior Masters, Super Senior Classic that just wrapped up as well. All that available in the archives on Bowl TV, on bowltv.com, and then, of course, the VOD content as well, the on-demand content available. So you get full access to the site with a recurring annual or monthly subscription. If you're just interested in watching the live coverage, if you want to buy a ticket, just like you would buy a ticket to go watch the Chicago Bulls play basketball, as I know,
It's a hot ticket.
as Mr. Williams would, he'd head over to the United
highly
Center.
recommend it.
You have that option as well, so you can pick up an event ticket to watch one event specifically. If you just want to watch the Reno Classic, let's say the schedule is only going to allow you to watch Monday and Tuesday, you can pick that up, $8.95. You can watch all the live coverage both days. We've mentioned that there's 3 events, the Pepsi Classic and the Tour Championship. They also have their own select event tickets if you're just able to watch those, $8.95 a piece for those as well. However, we do have a bundle package. So everybody's got bundles today. We got the bundles here on Bowl TV. For $19.95, you can get access to the entire week of live coverage here on bowltv.com from the National Bowling Stadium in Reno. So we're going to be here hanging out during the course of the day, bringing you the action throughout. So you have those options. Be sure to check those out on bowltv.com. Pick up that subscription and hang out with us here on Bowl TV and watch the best players on the PWBA Tour. It's really fun. PWBA is fun. I have another guest joining us here in just a moment as well. So once we get the thumbs up from Curtis, Julia Bond will be joining us here from the National Bowling Stadium. Now we got the thumbs up from Curtis, so let's welcome. Julia, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. Well, let's bring Screen here. There we go. Hi, Julia. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. First and foremost, how was your travel the past couple days getting here to Reno from your experience over in Cali, Colombia for Team USA?
Traveling was awesome. It was a really good experience to travel with the team, be a group, and the actual bowling part was amazing. Like, it's really hard to describe just the feeling of just that inclusiveness and that experience, and to go out and to win a medal with some of your closest friends, and it's a whole other thing. And then, but the travel home was a little long. I'll be honest with you guys, that was a little rough. I don't have a lot of experience with international travel, but we had to start the day at 2:30 in the morning, and I am not a morning person, so that was a little rough. And so we had to go from Colombia to Panama, Panama to Houston, Houston to Denver, Denver to Reno. And so we started the day at 2:30 in the morning, and we didn't get into Reno until maybe about 9:15. So I was feeling it. I was feeling it, but it's fine. It was totally worth it. I would do it again.
I don't even have a question ready after hearing what the team went through, or specific players obviously to get here. And JB, it's the final week of what has been a very obviously long but exciting PWBA season, especially for you, obviously, and you achieving certain milestones in your young career, and you've got an opportunity to add to that this week. Do you feel that the experience in Colombia kind of came maybe at the right time? You got a chance to experience something a little different, also get sharper on the lanes based on what you bowled on, and kind of get you prepared in that way for this week in Reno.
I think I agree. I think it did come at a good time. I had a little bit of a break. I recently got a new job, so trying to figure that out and kind of putting my energy in a different place, which I think is something that I really needed. And so the break, I think, was spent well. And then and I was still practicing, to prepare for Colombia, but it was a time where I felt very focused. I felt very calm. It was a nice change of pace, and we don't do a lot of team bowling. Like, once you kind of get out of collegiate bowling, you don't do a lot of team bowling. So it's definitely a welcome change. And the conditions out in Colombia were they were tough. I mean, the house, which was very cool. Like, it was on an Olympic ground. Like, I think Colombia has a really, really good like roller skating team. And so anyway, the facility was great. It was super cool, but it was tough. It was hard. It was very pair to pair, and what you did on one pair almost had nothing to do with the pair that you went to. And so you had to really be on top of your game. And I felt like I was joking around with some of my teammates, like Gigi. I was just like, man, like I think I'm gonna bowl great in Reno. Like, after bowling on this, like, I can't miss. Like, is the way that I felt. And so, but yes, I think Colombia came at a really good time for me. I feel like it gave me an opportunity to sharpen my skills, but also with the team aspect, it felt, again, it's just different. If you've been in team bowling, like you have people behind you. So even though the shot making and the focus I was really on top of, it was still a very welcome relief to have the support behind you. And so I feel very good coming into Reno, with the previous experience I had the past week. I feel very good.
Speaking of previous experiences, and I'm also curious, does anyone here roller skate? Now I'm intrigued.
I don't want to brag, but I think I'm a very good roller skater.
All right, there we go.
I think I'm pretty good. Like, well, not even roller skate, like rollerblade. Like, like inline. Like, I mean, I hope I'm not like talking myself up, but I'm a pretty good rollerblader. Like, my dad will tell you.
I am not, by the way.
I like the confidence there, though. I like the confidence.
Yeah, like going to skating rinks, that was like my jam. Like, when I was younger,
cool.
like I love that. So it was very cool to see them. Like, it was awesome. It was really cool.
Fantastic. I'll have to ask Matt about this. I feel Matt.
Right? Yeah, he probably got the 411.
Roller skating champion, I feel. But to get back to, you mentioned the previous experiences, and obviously previous experience here in Reno. Last time we talked to you on Bowl TV from this very stadium was a pretty awesome moment. Winning the Queens, your first major title. So obviously being back here has got to bring back some pretty cool feelings and emotions, I would imagine. So what's it like being back here, knowing what happened last time you were here?
There's an element of comfort and familiarity. Like, as soon as I was warmed up and I threw my first few shots, I'm not sure if it's the lighting here or what it is, but I just see my ball very well here, like through my target down to the break point. And so being here, like, it can feel very intimidating since it's so large and just so open. But after Queens, I feel at home. Like, I'm very comfortable. I'm very happy that this is where we get to finish. I'm pretty excited.
You mentioned the new job, and for those that don't know, Julia recently became the new assistant coach at the Nebraska women's bowling team. She is an alum and a previous national champion, All-American. How is the job, I should say? How's it going, and how has that transition worked out for you at this point?
It's awesome. I've been able to be on the job for 2 weeks. And so I feel very sad that unfortunately I had to be on the road and I had to miss the girls' first tournament, which they won today. So, give a little shout out. Give a little shout out to my team, Nebraska Women's Bowling. They won today, so that's very exciting. But that's another thing that's been really, really nice about the job, is that it's super supportive and it still allows me to come out here and still bowl professionally and follow my dreams. And so I am absolutely blessed to have that type of support system, from the university. But it's a lot of hands-on work. I'm a very hands-on learner. And so there's a lot of great things, like working with the ladies and, again, getting to know them and kind of doing all the behind-the-scene things. Like, I knew what Bill Straub and Paul Klemper, I had a rough idea about what they did, but now that I'm the one that's actually doing it, I'm like, wow, I had no idea all the preparation that has to go into it. But it's a very good feeling. I feel very helpful, that I feel like I am doing something that's bigger than myself. And so far, I'm just absolutely loving it. Like, I feel very good about this year. I feel very good about the team. And I always talk about Lincoln being my second home, and I most definitely feel very at home. So I'm very excited. I'm happy to be here, but I miss my team. So hi, if you guys are watching, I love you. Bye.
So it's Aurora, Lincoln, Reno.
Yeah,
those are the top three.
I think in that order.
All right,
now.
all right. I like that energy. I got one final question for you, Julia. What is happening with that jersey? I've been trying to figure out what's going on here. Can you tell me, please?
Do you have a guess? Do you see anything behind the leaves?
I'm having a hard time guessing what it is. What
about the back? Is the back more clear to you? No.
No.
Do you know what my favorite animal is?
I do not.
All right. No guesses. You're good?
No guesses.
All right. They're rhinos.
Oh.
But they're behind leaves. They're like hiding.
Okay. Now I can see it. Yes. Okay. All right.
Wow.
I was wondering the whole time. It's very cool, but it was like everything's just it's very kind of, I don't know how a rhino can be subtle, but it's kind of subtly like in there behind the leaves. And
yeah, no, I mean, rhinos are my favorite animal, and I to be honest with you, between all of us, I hate the color green.
Oh.
But when I saw this, I know. But when I saw this, I was just like, man, that is so cool. And so I get a lot of compliments on this jersey, but then people are like, what is it though? Like Christy Leong, she literally complimented me maybe an hour ago, and she's just like, are those rocks? And I'm like, close. They're rhinos. But yeah, no, I thank you. Yeah, I get a lot of compliments on it, but they're rhinos.
Okay, I like the jersey. I just couldn't figure it out. So that's
Thanks.
I had to find out before we let her go today.
Nicely done.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I'm good, man. Let's let her go.
All right, Julia. With that, thank you for joining us as always on Bold TV. Best of luck throughout the course of the week here in Reno. Go Cornhuskers. Got to work that in there. So
go Big Red.
Yeah, have a fantastic week. Best of luck, and we look forward to watching you in these final 3 events on the PWBA Tour season in 2021.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, JB.
Thank you. All right. That was good stuff. I enjoyed that.
That was very nice. Good call on the jersey. I mean, I wasn't paying that close attention, but clearly it caught your eye there. So
it had stumped me.
Nice job.
And now we know. So, all right, the practice session is officially over. Lanes are off. No more bowling is taking place. So I believe that's the end of our day here.
Yeah, that's it. We did it.
And Curtis is giving us the sign over Emil's right shoulder as we wrap up. If you check out the PWBA Instagram story today, you could check out what's going on right there. But there's actually a Champions Row that welcomes you once you come into the National Bowling Stadium here. Once again, we said we're using about half the facility, so it's really cool. A lot of great stuff here. Player of the Year. We got trophies. We got everything. We got the list of Player of the Years, Rookie of the Years. A lot of things going on here on site at the NBS as we get ready for the Fall Classic Series. But Emil, I feel we learned a little bit about just everything, live streaming, everything going on. It was a good time. Learned a little bit about what's going on the lanes, and of course, talked a lot about scenarios and things happening throughout this weekend, things to look for, and we're going to continue to do that. But the only place you can do that is on Bowl TV, folks. So we hope to see you there for some fun times at the NBS.
It's going to be great. I'm personally very happy to be here. We hadn't seen a classic series or an event series like this in person, and so I get the chance to experience what that is like, and then being back at the National Bowling Center, which has been about 3 years for me as well. So I'm very excited, and then throw all of that for me personally, and with actually what's at stake from the PWBA perspective with the Player of the Year storylines, Rookie of the Year, and then everything else that in between. And many times, Aaron Smith, we're looking forward to something that's going to happen. Obviously, we know someone's going to be named Player of the Year right at the end of the week, but sometimes a storyline can kind of get overshadowed a little bit by something else that we did not expect that will happen, and we certainly have to be on the lookout for that. The patterns seem like they're going to produce a lot of strikes and some high scores. That means to me everyone's kind of in play, right? Everyone's going to have an opportunity to score well, and so I'm very much looking forward to that. One final note, and we got a lot of questions about that in the chat regarding Shannon O'Keefe. Shannon is on her way. She is scheduled to land tonight, local time, Reno. I think about 9 p.m. or so. She was coaching McKendree, who was bowling against Nebraska. We just learned, obviously, we talked to Julia. That one went to 7 games, and Nebraska ended up edging McKendree. So Shannon was coaching earlier today and then hopped on the flight to Reno. So if anyone can maybe miss a practice session and still be sharp and put up some score, it's Shannon O'Keefe. And it wouldn't shock me if she watched a little bit of the practice session here on Bowl TV just to get kind of some ideas. I know she'll probably have a few folks talking, texting, and whatnot. But she will be here, obviously, barring any random delays. So keep that in mind and expect to see her tomorrow.
All right, folks, that's going to do it from the PWBA podcast today from the official practice session for the Fall Classic Series. The Reno Classic starts tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time, so bright and early here on the West Coast, 8 a.m. for that first 6-game block. We'll toss the schedule up on the screen as we close the show, but big thank you to Stephanie Zavala, Brianna Clemmer, and Julia Bond for taking a couple minutes out to talk to us. Chuck Gardner as well, Chuck on the truck, dropping some excellent knowledge along the way. Curtis Vine Kruger, Jason Thomas as well for all the work they've been doing. Big thank you, of course, goes out to Kegel, our official lane maintenance provider, our guy Bill in the house this week, taking care of the lane. So we know it's going to be a fantastic effort out there. Always does a great job. So Kegel, the official lane maintenance provider out here. Of course, our gold industry partners. We got Storm, Brunswick, and Roto Grip along with Kegel for that. Of course, our host. We always love coming to Reno. At least I do. I'm not sure about everybody else, but get on my level, folks.
Aaron is a Reno connoisseur.
Reno is it. But the National Bowling Stadium for hosting us as always, and their great staff. Of course, all the tournament staff as well. We have out here supporting it from the IBC, all the volunteers as well. So that's going to do it. Big thank you just to everyone. Of course, all the great folks here on Bowl TV as well, the athletes competing this week, and we'll clean that up, that close as the week goes on. But big thank you to everybody. We're going to see you 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 local time here in Reno tomorrow for the Reno Classic. We'll toss that schedule up there. So, folks, have a great rest of your night. We'll see you soon. And remember, on Bowl TV, he's Emil Williams Jr. I'm Aaron Smith. On Bowl TV, See, I need to clean that up. On Bowl TV, Bowling Lives
Just
here.
day one.
Day one. Have a great night, folks.